G'day YouTube viewers, welcome back to my special edition of my compressed air rockets and the introduction of how it came to be. Air cannon rocketry program. So this is my channel, BT73. So first I'd like to introduce you to myself. My name is Bill. I come from Heathcote, which is a greater city of Bendigo, just outside of Bendigo in Victoria, Australia. So to start off with, I started with rockets back in the 90s. What got me fascinated was just the very idea of flight in general. So planes, helicopters, things like that. Back in the early days, when I used to go to school, I always used to go to the first thing at the library during the lunchtime. And I'm always hitting the books, but the books that I'm reading that fascinated me was pretty much rockets, or anything that's got to do with space flight, interstellar flights. There's some really good books. Even authors such as Eric von Daniken, I believe his name is. Some brilliant science fiction authors out there who wrote quite a few things. So back in the 90s, I actually started the water rockets through a magazine called Quest magazine. And every month there will be, in each of those magazines that came out monthly, they would have a science project on one of the pages. And one of them just blew me away. I actually found, when I picked up one of my monthly magazines, he had a science project, a water rocket project. And that's what started the whole thing. So he had a picture of a soft drink bottle. It was supported by 3 bricks. And you just add water, pumping some air with a foot pump or hand pump. And you had a rubber bung or cork. You can actually put a hole through the cork, put your tube valve from your foot pump, and just pumping air, and away she goes. So I did that for a couple of years until I had one incident where I was getting too close and I was pumping the bottle with water, and as I was pumping, the rocket was getting too close to my face, but I was also leaning over towards it, and as the rocket let go, he actually hit me right in the face, hit me where my glasses and my forehead was. So I gave that up. But soon after that, I found out about the Estes model rockets. So with the Estes model rockets, as you know, this is one of my Estes rockets. This used to be called the Heliocat. So this nose cone would come off and come down spinning, while the rest of the rocket came down under parachute. Now, I've flown this probably back in 1992 till 2001. So it's been a very long time since I've flown these things. So you're using solid rocket motors. And I still have some old motors, but also have some new ones. These are a collection of my Estes model rockets, ranging from C to D, and I've got one E-class motor, which is already installed in one of my rockets in a garage. So this is all my collection. As you can see, I've got all my launch pads, I've got all my igniters, I have all my remote controls, everything that I need in one box. I've also discovered launching rockets using CO2 cartridges, which I've never done it before. I've built a rocket before using CO2, but I've never actually launched it. So this has been sitting here for many, many years as well. So the reason why I stopped the Estes, flying the Estes motor, rocket engine, the rocket Estes model rockets, is because when the September 11 attacks happened in the US, I decided to stop as well, because here in Australia, you know, if you continue launching rockets in playgrounds or parks, people will look at you and say they might suspect you of being a terrorist. So I stopped that straight away. In 2019, so many, many years later, I've moved into the countryside with my wife. We got a 7-acre block. Neighbours are pretty far away, plenty of land. So I thought I'll revisit some of these hobbies. So I've gone back to some of my water rockets. This is just a plastic bottle. I've tried to design and make fins for it and nose. I had my own launch pad. If you revisit some of my early episodes, the water rocket program, back at the property that I had, you'll see an episode there where I'm launching 3 different types of water rockets: Aqua 1, 2 and 3. Also try to splice 2 bottles to make a longer lasting rocket during its flight phase. But the splicing was a bit too much for me, so I did a different kind of a splice where you put again, it's one of my videos out there. So instead of joining 2 bottles with end, all I did was place another piece of this part on the bottom of this, so it'll come that way for better strength. The pressure test did last for about maybe two pressure tests, and after that he just failed. And I did everything I could to I did everything in terms of what sort of glue and gel and these slicker fix, as they call them. But it was just too much again to me. So I wanted something simple. So just after the water rockets, I discovered sparkler rockets. So with sparkler rockets, I've had this one since 2019. I've had smaller tubes packed with sparklers, so you all know what sparklers is. And just pack them up and load it up. So block the top end and have an open tube in the rear end. This one hasn't been flown before. This is one of my largest ones. It has 164 sparklers in here. So it's very well protected in the front. And you've got your cap. You got a nozzle here. Protect the nozzle. And you're probably wondering, okay, you got sparklers coming around here, this end. Probably wondering the nose cone is too small, it might explode. And I'm thinking, yes, I know, because I've done it in the past. I've tested these things at my old property where I used to live. If I let this go, it's going to explode because the nose cone is too small, and the power that comes from the sparklers is just incredible. So don't get me wrong, it's incredible. I've had They're all made from PVC pipes. They do tend to melt very quick, so you do have to bind it up with some plumbing tape so they don't melt, or you need to withhold that pressure and heat. So the other large one that I had is one that looked like a Ariane 5 type. Again, what did I use here? I used some special glue or paste on the bottom, but I've never launched it. It is scary stuff. I've got thick amounts of hot glue in there too, but at that time I wanted to put extra stuff for protection. Again, haven't used it. I don't think I want to use it because they're just unpredictable. So after that, I actually discovered I wanted to go back into the water rocketry until I come up something on YouTube about people using air cannons to launch potatoes. Fair enough. Golf balls, ping pong balls, and rockets as well, paper rockets. So I went to my usual Bunnings warehouse in Bendigo, got some parts. I built my air cannon the way it should be, nice and simple, and off we went. My first launch was very exciting because I was running 40 psi. Before we get into that, this is my compressor. Gotta love these things. We'll talk about this in a couple of minutes. So I launched my first paper rocket at 40 psi, thinking, oh yeah, it's probably not much distance. I'm not going to get much distance out of it. But wow, did it go far? And I thought, okay, this is much better than my water rockets. I wonder how far I can go if I double the pressure at 80 psi. So I did it, and I did it not up, but I actually did it in a horizontal way. So not up, but on an angle. So even at 40 psi, it actually still flew quite well. I mean, 20, 30 meters, that's good. And when I pumped it up to 80 psi, it went way out there, like 60, 70 meters, easy. So straight away I cancelled on my water rocket program. Sparkler rockets was just cancelled again. I was out of the picture. Too dangerous. You don't mess around with sparkler rockets. So yeah, I decided to design different rockets using different fin designs, different nose cones, engine block. Did it need an engine block? What sort of engine block did it need? What sort of fin designs did I need? In terms of fin design, many of you have probably seen some of my earlier episodes of using the old small Barocca or Voost tubes. They're tablets. I just took the tubes out and I used to launch them on top of my air cannon, which went extremely well. But I had a couple of them. I think I had about at least 10 of them with all different designs of fin designs. So they're all ranging from high angle of attack to medium, and then really, really sharp, like an ice cream type fin, which at the end I actually found out that it was the more straighter the fin was, so as long as it comes out a little bit from the side, Again, if you just imagine an ice cream stick as a fin on the side of a tube, that was the best fin design for high-speed flight. So this is what I used on my first air cannons. You see one, pretty much they all have them. So that one, if you see behind me, all of them. The ones that you see where my finger is, all failed, structural issues. But I still keep my 1, 2, 3 best air rockets here. And you know, it's always a trial and error. But I wanted to do something different because I didn't want to bring these rockets down using any sort of recovery. So no parachute, no streamer. I saw someone on a video which launched water rockets. They used the so-called backsliding recovery technique. So as you launch the rocket, it actually comes down the same way. So tail heavy comes down towards you, or it will literally just spin. Sometimes rockets don't spin, it will just come down nice and horizontal, nice and gently as well. So in order for me to do that, I have to bring back the center of balance. So as everyone knows, I'll bring this one. So if you take the length, I might bring the short one actually. If you take the length of this rocket, find the center. Normally when you pivot, it should pivot in the middle. But with backsliding, or if you really want to bring the rocket nice and level down, you do have to move some of that weight back. So in this case, it's just in front of that yellow tape. And it's roughly about 1.5 inch from the center of the rocket, and this was balanced quite well. Of course, my last episode did have a broken fin, which I couldn't really launch it, and a engine block that actually failed as well. So that's out of the picture. So the whole part of the what I like to call air cannon rocketry program is to design, build rockets that were high speed, high altitude, watching the rocket's weight, and trying to land these things nice and horizontal. Because the last thing you need is to nosedive and it'll just crash nose first, or you might even injure someone in the process. You might go in someone's house. So these weren't designed as a ballistic missile, so to speak. So I had safety in mind. That was the number one thing. The other thing, because it was designed to come down nice and horizontal, is that as it does come in horizontal landing, it slows everything down as it comes down. So better on the rocket as it comes down during the impact. You're not going to get damaged tubes, you're not going to get damaged fins. I've had a few damaged fins in the past. So everything just went better and better as time went by. So this project started back in late 2019, I believe, somewhere in 2020, around June, roughly 2020. And this program was going on for about, coming now in 2022, so almost 2 years. So I haven't come across anyone on YouTube that has actually done what I have done as part of the research and development, the design and build of rockets that will can be launched on top of a air cannon to launch it as high as you can, but also to make sure it comes down soft during a soft landing, and then you can reuse it again over and over again. No need for solid fuel motors, and this is the one thing that I like about the air cannon. There's no need for, it's not a water rocket, so you don't need air and water. You don't need to pump water. With water rocketry, all the energy is stored in the bottle itself, which means the bottle can actually explode. There are some technical stuff there, sure. You got your pump. Things can go with pumps. Things can go with your, if you're splicing bottles, things can go wrong with there as well. But it just makes it a little bit harsh for some people in terms of the actual hobby itself. There's a lot of videos out there that I know water rocketry is a very, very interesting topic because it does deal with the science, with how much water and air you should put in to get the best possible performance out of it. But with water rockets, the best thing I've seen is the backsliding technique, where the water rockets will just come down nice and soft. No parachute, no streamer recovery, simple. So this is what I incorporated into my air cannon. All of my rockets here for my air cannon rocketry. I used to be called air cannon rocketry, but people just doesn't are not they're not aware of what air cannon rocketry is about. There was nothing on YouTube, so I decided. I actually found that many of them were using so-called air power rockets, but I think that compressed air rockets was the most famous saying on YouTube. So as you've seen, I've done, if you look at my previous videos, I've gone from I've built short rockets, I've been long ones. The other part of the program that was really important was the color of the rocket. If you got a blue sky, what color is the best to use to construct the rockets so you can actually see it up in the sky? So visually, you needed to figure out what color was the best with a blue sky background. But also this, what sort of color rocket will be visible the most if there was a white patches of clouds, so white clouds or grey clouds. Those sort of scientific things that I've been looking for. Of course, white rockets, it's going to be very hard to track in most conditions. A blue rocket is no good with a blue sky, just as a white rocket won't be visible much with a white background, especially with white clouds. So dark green, black, blue, or dark blue was my favorite colors. That can be seen, of course, white clouds, but you can also see them during the blue behind with blue skies in the background. No problems at all. In terms of what has gone wrong and what hasn't, well, just go check out my videos and you'll see what's gone wrong and what hasn't. Thankfully, I've managed to get quite a few record-breaking rocket flights. I can estimate somewhere around 300, 350, maybe the 400 foot, somewhere around there. They can go up high using the 80, 85 to 90 psi of air pressure. Thankfully, I came across one of these compressors. So you pretty much just turn it on. You got your plus and minus, preset your pressure that you want, turn it on using the trigger. Once the compressor stops, because it is designed to stop at a certain pressure, so once it stops automatically, then you typically do your regular countdown, 3, 2, 1, and release the valve. I've never, in terms of air cannons, I've only had one blown cannon, which was experimental, and I never gone back. The base was a wide base with a really thin tube. I wouldn't recommend doing it. Just go for something simple. So you get, again, check out my videos. Just keep it long. If you can make it as long as possible, fine. But don't make it too short at the end, the air tank. Make it twice as long as the tube that's in the front, if you can. And don't go too wide. You gotta remember, you gotta think about steam engines, how steam engines work. Gotta think of the push effect, because you're storing quite a lot of pressure in a certain size tube. You can put it too high, but with the other end being too small, it's not going to work. As I said, my one actually blew up. So go back to my old videos and you'll see what my air cannon looks like. You'll be surprised, and it's worked. I've had 2 cannons. My first one, I think it was a valve problem that I had on my first one. Yeah, and then I had to copy it. No, actually, it was a valve problem. Valve from the bottom of the air cannon, not from the trigger, but from the bottom. It actually came loose. It was leaking, so I had to cut that off, make it a little bit shorter. So I used that, and after a while, something else went wrong. I don't know what it was. I think it was a leak somewhere, but I decided to make a new one. So my second air cannon is what you see now in my videos, latest videos. I've built another 2 as well to run longer rockets, but I'm finding out with the Discovery and the Challenger, because they're quite long, I wanted to get the PVC tube to go all the way up, but I thought I'll run my original cannon, because normally it's around that much short than the other ones. And I thought, why not use short? Because I've explained on one of my other videos that as soon as you start pumping air, as soon as you turn the valve and the air goes rushing in, it'll create that compression, that high compression, but it's a smooth sort of a compression. You might get some extra boost out of it. You might get an extra smoothness during the performance as well. So it's a bit of an advantage there. I wouldn't recommend launching or having an air cannon that's half as long as this. You do need to get a little bit longer. So when you do open the valve, you got that longer throw to push it up. With half, I've done it before in the past, and it just doesn't throw the rocket as high as you want. So again, the best rocket flight will be the longest. Keep your air cannon, the top of the air cannon close by. You don't have to go all the way up here if you don't want to, but keep it about 2.5 inches away. If you got an engine block, that's fine. Again, you can decrease it about 2 inches back again, and then it'll give you that compression, that extra kick that you need. but make sure you keep your rocket long, because you do need that extra long kick as to push the rocket up. So in terms of fin design, again, it's a bit of a trial, and like try and try again, so to speak. It's a very common and very popular design with rockets, especially with my paper rockets. Talking about paper rockets, get the ones that are not too smooth in construction, so you do want a little bit of a rough edge, a rough feel to it, because if you put too smooth of a material, it'll just come down quicker. It will cut the air quicker, but during the descent stage it will come down quicker because it is slippery. So you do want a little bit of a rough material so it comes down nice and slow. And if you looked at my last video, you'll see how slow it actually came. Plus you had that spin, that Coandero effect spin, which slowed it even more. So if you could make your rocket spin coming down, even better. But again, make sure, but as you can see, I've got tape on the outside here. I think one of the reasons why it's also spinning is because the uneven surface. So I've got clear tape on one of them. So as I'm rolling the tape to make the rocket, you're going to get that sticky tape, clear sticky tape there. On the other side of the rocket, there's that rough feel to it, to the material. So you can see that bright shiny sticky tape, and then you got that rough sort of a feel to the paper. So I think because of the imbalance as it's coming down between the friction that it's causing, the slipperiness of the sticky tape and the non-slippery, I think once it starts rotating, it's going to keep rotating, because again, one side's going to slip, the other side's not. It's going to, like, it'll break. You start using that braking process, so to speak. So it's causing that rotation as it's coming down. So I had some really good braking record rockets, as you've probably seen in the videos. I highly recommend that you look at the videos. There's not many views out there, but I can tell you that compressed air rockets is probably one of the safest to launch rockets from. I don't like launching things like potatoes or golf balls or anything like that. I'm not into ballistics. I'm into science, so rocket science. Again, something that no one has ever done before. So I decided to open a YouTube channel called the Air Cannon Rocketry, which is now called Compressed Air Rockets. So the whole idea, as I said, is to try and build different sizes, different designs, launch them as high as you can using different materials. And longer is better, of course. And in terms of the winning fin design, so this is the winning fin design. So I've got 4 nails in the back here just to keep that center of pivot back. So here's the length. I just can balance it on my finger. So it's somewhere around here anyway. I've got the ceiling fan on, so it's okay. You can see where the pivot point is there. So as like I said, always I think the key to this is just bring that center of, just bring the weight a little bit back. about an inch, inch and a half, and you should be fine. If it doesn't go the way it should, you can always enlarge the fins with proper ice cream sticks. These are medium type. Actually, this could be, yeah, I've got some small ones. I'm not sure about the ice cream sticks. I think you can get bigger ones. I know you can get wider ones, no problem. It's pretty much just try different things, but I can tell you this is the winning design of paper rockets. This is my class leading rocket, so it hasn't gone, nothing's gone wrong. Has that got an engine block? Yes, it does. It has a no, this one doesn't have a polystyrene engine block. It's got a plastic cap that sticks out here. So it sticks out just here inside. So I think I super glued it or hot glued it. And then on top of there, you'll just slide in your plastic bottle. You can put payload in there if you want. Not a problem. But I don't think anything too heavy of a bug or an insect, if you're going to launch, is going to affect the way it's going to come down. That's pretty much it. Again, electrical tape for structural protection. So you want one in the top. Definitely want one on the bottom as well. There is one which is the 68. This one was a bit crumpled at one of the launches, so I put a container on top, like just over it. So I cut both ends of a container, plastic container, and I'll put that on top. And then your fins on top of that, just glue it into place, as you can see. And then I balanced everything, and it did needed a little bit of weight in the back, so I've got 8 nails in there, just to make sure I can keep that balance the way I wanted. So I can get it right. It'll be where the tape is anyway. So that's where you'll want it. So the center of the rocket will be typically here. You can see it probably needs about 1.5 inches to 2 inches back. When you launch it and you're thinking, oh yeah, it's not coming down tail heavy, you can always add another 4 nails or screws, but make sure they're lightweight. Even as something as maybe a skewer, like a barbecue skewer, which are not that light, not too heavy. You can try some of those sort of things. But again, the whole idea is to bring the whole rocket to land horizontal and up. Nose first. So nose impact. I've never had a rocket that'll come way tail heavy. So backsliding. I've had rockets in the past that I like to call them a hole-in-one. I've had a green one called Titan 1, which I've flown on an angle. And I reckon this thing went, my God, 300 feet, but on a 30 degrees angle. And I thought that was it. It's gone. It's finished. It's disappeared. But sorry about that. So as I'm watching it, I thought, that's it. It's gone. 300 feet, 400, still going. And I'm still looking at it. All I see is a black dot in the sky. That's all I see. And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, wait a minute, this thing's coming down. But it's coming down towards me. So I'm thinking, maybe I've got maybe there's some luck to it. Maybe I'll get it back. And funnily enough, I think the whole flight took maybe a good 30 seconds, roughly. Somewhere close to 30 seconds. And what seems to be like I just lost the rocket, it actually came down, it went back, thinking, holy crap, this thing's coming back. And you wouldn't believe it, it actually did a bit of a turn, because sometimes when the wind blows, but there was just a very tiny fraction of wind blowing. And believe it or not, this rocket actually landed a meter just in front of my feet. That's how good this rocket flight was. And I wish I had recorded that so people can see it on YouTube how well that rocket flew. I've had two more after that that I like to call a hole-in-one. Just goes so high, like just launch it on an angle. You got your weight just right in the back, and it just backslides and it lands right on your feet. I mean, right there. It was just unbelievable. Something that good in design, and they actually built something that actually worked extremely well. So in conclusion, all I can say is I've given up the Estes model rockets again, mainly because it's you use your motors, you got to buy them, you got to waste them. There's parachute, you got cords, you got problems with parachute tanglement, shock cord ripping off. I'm looking at a lot of YouTube videos that people have launched model rockets, Estes. They don't. If I were to describe my rocket performance with the Estes model rockets, I'll say my rockets will probably go as far as the C and D. A B, between the B and the C size motors on the Estes motors. So somewhere around the 350 feet mark. Again, every model rocket is different in terms of weight, but the height that I'm looking at when I'm flying these things, they're just incredible. I mean, you're looking at a easy C class Estes. It's like flying a C class Estes motor. It's as simple as that. So air cannon, nice and simple. I'll grab, maybe, as you've seen in the videos, grab a couple of them, fix them up, put them next to each other, and as the compressor's compressing it, once it stops, let it go, leave the compressor running if you want, get your next one, load it up. You got a bug, you got an insect, or you got a camera, you got time until the air tank pressurizes itself to that specific pressure you want. Just keep going until you're finished, pretty much. I have launched cameras in the past using the Voost. I've also used PVC pipes. Again, when it comes to PVC, launching rockets using PVC is they're okay, but a little bit hard in terms of coming down slowly, because the PVC has a more slippery surface to it, so it does come down quicker. I'm just going to say it again, stick with the paper. Make sure the rougher, I reckon probably the rougher the better, roughly, so to speak. But again, if the way I did it, there's nothing wrong with having a bit of a slippery surface on one end and then a bit of a rough surface on the other. Like I said, just make sure it does help to have a bit of a rough surface to get that spin that you want. So as it's creating that coander effect, as everyone knows, when you spin something, you create a bit of lift, which helps. On the weight T side of things, I like to keep things around the 40, 50, maybe 60 grams of weight. I reckon 50 to between 50 and 60 grams is probably the best. Keep your rockets long. And that's pretty much it. I think I've covered everything that I need to cover. Again, people can go out and buy one of these. They're coming very, very handy. This is my second one. The first one, I've actually used it on my water rockets and it pretty much damaged it after 10 goes. But with my air rockets, this is my second one. I've done a lot. I've done a lot of rocket flights. And I've learned a lot, as I said. It is a very scientific project because you are dealing with different materials, dealing with trying to get that weight and the balance right, trying to get, again, with the structural that I have, structurally, I might have 3. Some of these might be thin, but they might have like 6 or 7 wrappings around it. But it seems that the number 80 is a bit of an interesting number because at 80 psi, they do so much better. Even with water rockets, 80 psi does, for some reason, make everything just better and smoother. So I used to do 80. I used to fly them at 80 psi. If you notice the wear that I had, the tear that I had yesterday on my episodes, I just put some plumbing tape over that, so it's again good to go. But going back to the pressure, so there's something about 80 psi that just works the best. If you're gonna go more, 85, 90, make sure you just put some electrical tape around it or plumbing tape around it just for that extra structural protection. I've never done 100 psi. I did it once on a PVC pipe. I've also done one on the small Barocca tubes. It flies extremely good, but the problem is it's trying to balance it on the way down. So if you're going to build a paper rocket that small, it's not going to work. Last week I made a very small one, and it just didn't go very far. So it was about, pretty much around there. I can tell you they don't go very far, and I had it at 85 psi. I launched it in the backyard. No, you just won't do it. So keep your rockets long, keep your materials light. Again, I've never used fiberglass or carbon fiber. If I did, that would be great. So everything carbon fiber, nose, fins, all that. Unless you can run it on more than 100 psi on your air cannon. I've seen a guy launching a rocket, but PVC rocket, running 200 psi. Flew very high. The launch pad was just absolutely just shaking from all that power. Again, it was just thin tubes, the same tube that I'm using on mine. Air cannon, and again, it just wasn't designed to come down horizontal. It flew extremely high, but just came down nose first. And as I said, you don't want to be building ballistic missiles. Just keep everything safe. So that's all I've got today. That's everything I've got to say. So I hope you enjoy my videos from the start to the end, and do your own research if you want, or you can copy the things that I'm doing here. And if you live in country Victoria, give me a buzz. Can leave a comment, and maybe we can put your rockets up for a challenge with my 3 rockets up here. So that's all I've got to say for today, and that's it. My rockets and air cannons is for sale now. I've got my Estes Motors rockets also for sale. They're all going. We're moving overseas in a couple of months, so I've got to clear everything out. So hope you enjoyed the videos that you were looking at, and I hope you enjoy this video. Give us a thumbs up if you like what you see. I have explained everything that I've learned for the past 2 years, roughly. And I can tell you it's a very exciting project, very exciting. So I suggest you go out there and have some fun. Do your own research, do your own fun, keep it safe, keep it real. And that's it for now. Until then, bye. Bye, everyone.